Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Nerd Flame channel. I'm Mr. Flame, and today we are diving headfirst into the firestorm of animation hype that is currently ripping through the internet, focusing exclusively on the two behemoths that define our childhoods and our futures, Pixar and Illumination. We're not talking about small projects here. We're talking about massive, legacy-defining sequels, reboots, and the wildest, most anticipated follow-ups to some of the greatest animated films ever made starting next year. Get ready to have your expectations obliterated because the rumored projects and confirmed sequels for the 2026 slate and beyond are going to generate more clicks than a digital black hole. And we are going to break down all the whispers, the official announcements, and the wishlist films that have the entire fandom on absolute edge. The moment that announcement dropped, the entire pop culture sphere simultaneously celebrated and worried, because the legacy of the Toy Story franchise is arguably the most perfect cinematic saga in history, making the prospect of Toy Story 5 an absolute tightrope walk of emotional storytelling and massive box office pressure. The expectation is not just high, it is astronomical, with fans desperately hoping that this isn't just a cash grab but a genuine, necessary continuation of Woody and Buzz's journey in a world that keeps evolving faster than a toy can say infinity and beyond. There are rampant rumors suggesting that the film will focus heavily on a more technological threat to the toy's existence. Perhaps a new line of intelligent, AI-driven playthings that view the classic plastic heroes as obsolete relics of a bygone era, creating a thematic depth that could rival the philosophical undertones of the earlier films in the series. This shift from simple companionship to a battle for relevance in the digital age is what has us most hyped. Imagining a final stand for our original heroes against a cold, calculating new generation of toys that fundamentally misunderstands the concept of love and play. What we do know, from the very vague whispers out of the studio, is that the core emotional anchor of the franchise, the bond between the original gang, will be tested like never before, especially with the return of core voice actors, which is always the biggest reassurance for the fan base. The current gossip circulating on Reddit and across film forums suggests a massive, mind-bending sequence involving hundreds of different versions of Buzz Lightyear, which sounds absolutely bonkers and exactly the kind of spectacle-driven chaos that Illumination might attempt, but Pixar is going to infuse with heart. We've heard that the film is a deliberate reboot of the feel of the franchise, acknowledging the emotional weight of Toy Story 4, while setting the stage for a new beginning, which has sparked intense debate about whether this is the right direction, or if they should have simply ended the story gracefully. Mr. Flame, personally, believes that if anyone can pull off a meaningful fifth chapter that justifies its existence, it is the creative minds behind the initial trilogy. But the stakes have never been higher for a franchise that has set the gold standard for animated storytelling across 3 decades. The greatest part of the hype comes from the fan theories about which characters will return, and the most persistent one is the true integration of some of the secondary characters who deserve more screen time, specifically the likes of Combat Carl, who brings a much-needed comedic edge to the emotional intensity. There's also a recurring, very strong rumor about a heartbreaking, beautiful sequence where Woody has to interact with a grown-up Andy in a way that respects their history but acknowledges the finality of their separation. Potentially a flashback or a dream sequence that utilizes some kind of toy memory device. We are also expecting a brand new antagonist toy, perhaps one that isn't inherently evil, but fundamentally broken, a reflection of the modern disposable nature of toys and culture, giving Woody and Buzz one last lesson to teach before they pass the torch. The sheer anticipation for the first trailer alone has consistently broken social media records, and frankly, the only thing that could kill this hype train is a script that fails to meet the sky-high emotional bar set by Toy Story 3 and 4. Moving to the darker side of the production rumors, there has been some industry chatter about possible creative differences behind the scenes concerning the narrative direction, with some sources claiming an initial script was thrown out because it was considered too dark and too reliant on the emotional manipulation that fans are tired of seeing. This kind of behind-the-scenes drama only fuels the hype engine, suggesting that the studio is fighting tooth and nail to get this right, rather than just rushing out a product for the sake of a release date. The entire fan base is desperately clinging to the hope that this sequel will provide a definitive final curtain call for some of the original characters, allowing them to exit the stage with the dignity they deserve, rather than leaving the door permanently ajar for continuous exploitation. Imagine the collective emotional breakdown of the internet when the first official poster drops next year, showing the silhouette of Woody and Buzz under the classic blue sky, a simple, powerful image that signifies the beginning of the end, or perhaps just the middle of a never-ending journey. The anticipation is further compounded by the whispers that Toy Story 5 will act as a soft reboot for the entire Pixar universe, hinting at interconnectedness with other films, something the studio has always vehemently denied, but which fans have dreamed of for years, especially with the appearance of certain Easter eggs. Think about a brief glimpse of a certain green fish in a child's aquarium, or a very specific red race car sticker on a wall in the background of the main scene. Subtle nods that only the most eagle-eyed viewers and dedicated franchise theorists will be able to catch and dissect for months. The idea of a shared universe is the ultimate clickbait for the fan community. And while Pixar usually keeps things separate, the pressure to deliver a decade-defining cinematic event might push them to finally give the fans what they've always wanted. Toy Story 5 is not just a film. It is a cultural event, and everyone, from the original fans to the new generation, is holding their breath to see if they can stick the landing one final glorious time. Shifting gears from the emotional core of Pixar, we have to talk about the pure, unadulterated spectacle coming from Illumination with the announcement of the Super Mario Galaxy movie, which is not just a sequel, but a monumental leap in ambition for the entire franchise and the studio's animated output. After the massive, unexpected, and completely deserved global success of the first film, which proved that faithful adaptations can deliver both artistically and commercially, the pressure is now on to exceed that level of sheer spectacle and fun with the jump to the cosmic, gravity-defying universe of the Galaxy game. The fan expectation here is less about emotional depth and more about creative spectacle. We want to see Rosalina. We want to hear the incredible orchestra of the Galaxy soundtrack. And we want to witness Mario flipping gravity and soaring through asteroid belts in a way that truly utilizes the animation medium to its absolute fullest potential. The current rumors are all about the voice casting for Rosalina, with every major Hollywood name, from A-list actresses to pop stars, being thrown around in a frenzy that would make a casting director's head spin, suggesting a massive star is coming aboard. The major speculative narrative suggests that this film will heavily borrow from the darker, more mysterious lore introduced in the Galaxy games, focusing less on Bowser as a comedic villain and more on a genuinely cosmic, galaxy-consuming threat that forces Mario, Luigi, and Peach to truly operate on a universal scale. We're talking about a narrative that deals with multiversal concepts, with rumors that the film might even briefly hint at other Nintendo properties, potentially opening the door for an entire animated gaming universe that would make Marvel look like child's play, which is the ultimate clickbait rumor for the next year. The sheer visual potential of the Comet Observatory, the star bits, and the complex, spherical worlds is what has animation enthusiasts and the general public alike absolutely foaming at the mouth, knowing that Illumination's signature bright, hyper-stylized look is perfectly suited to the game's aesthetic. The buzz is that the production design team has been given carte blanche to create the most visually stunning animated film in the studio's history, incorporating classical Hollywood musical numbers into the gravitational physics of deep space. One of the more persistent and fascinating rumors surrounding the Super Mario Galaxy movie is a slight, subtle shift in the animation style, retaining Illumination's charm but incorporating a more detailed, texture-rich approach to reflect the scope and epic nature of the new setting, something fans have been clamoring for. There is talk of a dedicated 10-minute sequence where the characters are forced to navigate a black hole-like anomaly, rendered with breathtaking detail and terrifying sound design, a moment that would elevate the film from a fun children's movie to a legitimate, spectacle-driven piece of animated science fiction that truly pushes the boundaries. The core of the fan discussion is centered on whether they will be brave enough to introduce Loomis, the adorable, star-like creatures, and whether they will keep their heartbreaking, existential backstories intact, which would provide the emotional core that some felt the first movie lacked. Mr. Flame has heard whispers that the film will be used to completely set up the Minions universe crossover, a massive meta event where the Minions accidentally cause a rift in space-time while trying to find a banana, which sounds completely insane and utterly Illumination. The expectation for the soundtrack alone is generating its own separate storm of hype, with fans hoping for a completely orchestral score that fully utilizes the grandeur of the original game's score, which many consider one of the greatest video game soundtracks of all time, far surpassing the relatively simpler music of the first movie. There's a rumor that a major pop star is going to contribute an original song that is meant to act as the main theme for Rosalina, potentially a melancholic, powerful ballad that grounds the cosmic adventure in genuine human, or, well, cosmic princess, emotion, adding a layer of seriousness to the otherwise manic energy of the franchise. The social media reaction to the announcement was immediate and overwhelming, with fans creating stunning concept art and detailed animatics of what they expect the cosmic environments to look like, all of which serves as free promotion and further intensifies the studio's need to deliver an absolute home run next year. This is not just a sequel, it is a declaration of animated intent, a promise to redefine what a video game movie can look like on the grandest possible scale. The most potent rumor, and the one that has truly set the hype machine ablaze, is that the ending of the film will not be a typical Hollywood conclusion, but a massive cliffhanger that sets up not just a third Mario film, but a dedicated Donkey Kong spin-off, potentially with a live-action element teased in a post-credit sequence, an idea that is pure, grade-A internet gold. The overall feeling among the fandom is one of pure, joyful anticipation, a feeling that Illumination, having successfully navigated the treacherous waters of a first adaptation, is now completely unbound and ready to go absolutely wild with the source material, resulting in a true animated masterpiece. The studio knows they have a genuine goldmine here, and the pressure is on them to deliver not just a good film, but one that will stand as the definitive animated space opera for a generation. And if the rumors are even half true, we are in for a ride that will shake the very foundations of the box office. And now we move to a sequel that everyone wants, a sequel that has been rumored and denied for years, but the whispers are getting louder, suggesting that the long-awaited Incredibles 3, Dawn of the Hero, is secretly being fast-tracked for a 2028 release date, an absolutely massive, high-stakes project that would complete one of Pixar's most successful and thematically complex trilogies. After the somewhat divisive but commercially successful second film, the fans have been vocal about what they want to see next. A full-blown superhero epic, where Jack is a teenager and the entire Parr family has to navigate the treacherous waters of being both famous heroes and a dysfunctional suburban family at the same time. The expectation is that this film will finally pit the family against a threat that is not only physical, but deeply ideological, a villain that challenges the very concept of heroism in a modern world, forcing each family member to question their role in the public eye and their ultimate purpose. The most persistent rumor, and the most compelling one for the narrative, suggests that the main conflict will arise from a retired, classic superhero from the original generation, a character thought to be dead, returning with a bitter, disillusioned worldview to challenge Mr. Incredible's overly optimistic vision of heroism. This antagonist would serve as a dark mirror to the family, forcing them to confront the real-world consequences of their powers and the collateral damage that always seems to follow in their wake, something the second film only touched upon. But this rumored third chapter will tackle head-on with brutal honesty. We are all waiting for the moment that Violet is finally given the opportunity to lead a mission on her own, proving that her generational power set is more than just a defensive tool, but a powerful offensive weapon that she can wield with the confidence of a seasoned hero, finally taking her out of the teenage angst phase. The biggest buzz, however, is that Jack will lose control of his powers in a massive, city-destroying sequence that forces the family to make a terrible choice between saving the world and saving their son, a heartbreaking moment that would be pure Pixar gold. The current gossip from anonymous sources suggests that the script is incredibly complex, dealing with themes of governmental oversight, the right to privacy for superpowered individuals, and the ethical use of super technology, turning the sequel into a kind of animated political thriller masked as a superhero film. We've heard that Frozone will have a massively expanded role, perhaps even becoming the director of the newly formed National Agency for Superhuman Activities, a position that puts him at odds with the Parr family's more rogue, independent style of heroics, creating an inner conflict that would fracture their long-standing friendship. The fan base is absolutely clamoring for a definitive conclusion to the emotional journey of Elastigirl, seeing her finally step out of her husband's shadow and become the undisputed leader of the family, forcing Mr. Incredible to learn to take a back seat and embrace a more supportive, fatherly role at home. This shift in the family dynamic is what has me, Mr. Flame, most excited, because it speaks to a maturity in the storytelling that few animated sequels ever dare to attempt, positioning the film as a truly necessary conclusion. There are also the slightly wilder, but equally compelling, rumors about a completely reimagined version of the classic villain syndrome, suggesting that his consciousness was uploaded to a powerful, distributed network before his death, allowing him to return as an omnipresent digital threat. This concept, combining the classic animated villainy with a modern high-tech threat, is generating massive clicks online, with fans speculating about how the family's powers, which are largely physical, would even begin to combat a purely digital, intangible enemy that can control every piece of technology on the planet. The sheer ambition of a story this expansive and complex is what gives fans hope that the long wait for Incredibles 3 will be worth it, proving that Pixar is still willing to take massive, creative risks on beloved franchises rather than simply churning out safe, predictable sequels. The potential for a heartbreaking, cathartic finale is enormous, providing a definitive, emotional closing chapter to the story of the Parr family and their place in a world that fears and loves them in equal measure. The biggest, most powerful rumor currently circulating that is driving all the hype is the subtle suggestion that a classic, non-superpowered Pixar character will make a brief, completely unexpected cameo, tying the entire cinematic output of the studio together in a way that will shatter the internet and break the box office for the entire year. Imagine the final shot of the film, after the massive, emotional conclusion, cutting to a simple, quiet scene where a certain green dinosaur and a cowboy doll are sitting in the background of a children's museum, a momentary flicker of a shared universe that is subtle enough not to derail the film, but powerful enough to generate millions of theory videos. Incredibles 3: Dawn of the Hero is poised to be the final word on the superhero craze from the studio that perfected the family dynamic, and if the rumors hold true, this will be the most anticipated and talked about animated film of the entire upcoming slate, setting a new benchmark for animated action and family drama. So there you have it, folks, the absolute firestorm of hype building around the incredible decade-defining animation slate coming from Pixar and Illumination, featuring massive sequels like Toy Story 5 and the Super Mario Galaxy movie, and the wildly rumored and desired Incredibles 3, Dawn of the Hero. The animation game is changing, and these two studios are leading the charge, promising not just entertainment, but cultural events that will dominate the box office and the conversation, proving that animated films are the new home for large-scale, visionary storytelling that captivates both kids and the adult fan community. The rumors, the whispers, and the officially confirmed sequels all point to a new golden age of animation, and the hype level is already set to maximum as we wait for the first official glimpses of these potential masterpieces that will redefine what we expect from a blockbuster movie. Now it's your turn, Nerd Flame Nation. Which one of these rumored sequels has you most hyped? And what wild, impossible rumor do you desperately hope turns out to be true? Smash that like button. Subscribe for more deep dives into the flames of cinema, and let me know your craziest theories in the comments below.
I didn't know this was even possible. I learned how to make money online. The link is right below in the first pinned comment.